Hailing frequencies open and welcome aboard Treks and Tangents. I'm your co-host Brian.
And I'm your co-host Jaci. I'm the Star Trek newbie who treks off on tangents.
And I'm your Star Trek expert who is here to get the tangents back on track. Each episode we watch and talk about a different Star Trek episode, and this week we watched
Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 16, The Gamesters of Triskelion.
Welcome back, everyone. Don't forget to stick around to the end of the episode where we'll reveal our bonus Star Note episode topic, which we'll post for free for anyone who wants to follow the Patreon, patreon.com/Treks and Tangents. But before that, let's talk about, well, I call them Hunger Games. I think I heard you call them
Squid Game.
Squid Games when you were watching them, and I saw you taking your notes. So both descriptives, I think, would be correct. Basically, gladiator pits, rich overseers.
They're colorful.
They're colorful with their brains. But before we jump too far into describing and talking about this episode, let's revisit last week's Turbolift tease. That's where I gave Jaci the title of this week's episode, and Jaci, without any other information, tried to guess or predict the plot of this week's episode. So, computer, what was Jaci's prediction last week?
Jaci's prediction last week was, well, obviously we are going to have, game players, and their world is with a tri, and tri is usually 3, so maybe there are 3 planets connected together. And then we have to jump from each planet to be able to help them because maybe they gambled too hard.
So, Jaci, how accurate do you think your prediction was?
My goodness, I was a failure.
So, nothing about arenas, nothing about gladiators, nothing about fighting to the death. Gamesters, sure.
No, I have to change my plot guess.
Yeah. So, but initial impressions, let's just start talking about it. What did you think overall of this episode?
Cheesy.
Cheesy's a good way to describe it.
Especially with the over dramatics of what are you doing?
Yeah, it's kind of trying, I think, to capture the overall idea of arena, where it's fight to the death. We get some good fight scenes. They got to show off some different aliens and costumes and so forth. But then they tried to overlay this idea of the protectors and their unwilling participants in a gladiator arena. And they tried to, it's not very good.
Especially since, it follows the Tribbles.
Yeah. We go from Trouble with Tribbles, Jaci's probably favorite episode that she'll see for the original series, and a huge contender for one of the top 10 episodes for me, to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My biggest dislike was the overacting. Yes, you can, yes, I could see Kirk reach through the fence and be like, oh my gosh. But they focused on him for 2 seconds, all up in his face, and then went on to another area. And then they did it a lot. Then he's with his mentor and he's looking at the sky and then zoom in. It was really weird videography.
Yeah. And and you're right. The acting, let's just call it what it is. The acting by Shana.
Shana? Yeah, she got 2 H's in there. 2 H's and 2 A's.
Yeah. It's not great. I know what they're trying to portray. They're trying to portray someone who...
She was born there.
She has no other experience, so her social skills and her speech pattern and everything, but it doesn't translate well across the screen to something that's entertaining to watch. And the rest of the cast of characters just kind of fall into the background. They're not...
Right, I wanted to know more about Tamoon.
Yeah, Tamoon and Galt and all these others, they just they're so two-dimensional. They're cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, we don't know anything. I only know that Galt was the leader and he has salty face.
Yeah, and we don't care about any of them,
No.
There's no empathy. I mean, even with Tamoon, just kind of okay,
And then giant ogre looking man and just standing there, or caveman, so it's I mean, Kirk does say it that it's a multiple races are kidnapped, and you can see that. I mean, we even saw that one little alien dude we met when we were taking everybody to the voting area.
So
Spock's dad.
Spock's Vulcan, and you're talking about the blue skin Andorian.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
yeah,
they didn't show his face. But I'm like, I know that vest, and I know those antenna.
yeah, and so I mean, yes, it is supposed to be. We're taking individuals from all across the galaxy, and they're pulling them together to fight to the death. But I think the whole episode just kind of lacks a theme or a tone because it jumps around so much. It jumps around from suspenseful and drama, and then we throw in romance, but then they call it action and the fight scenes, but it's not good, so it almost comes across as comical. So you don't really settle in to know what this episode is at any point.
I mean, this is actually one of the ones that I did watch multiple times and caught something new every time. Like they were all owned by one provider, and I didn't realize that until.
You mean the away team?
Yeah.
Yeah, he bought them as a lot.
Right. And then Shayna was like, "Oh, when we need to expand the herd, I'll get a mate." Okay. Yeah. But love. I hate it when it goes back to love. It's so annoying. Sorry. I love love, but you know what I mean, right?
And
I hope.
But also it's like they have this overwhelming power to be able to snatch these people up from huge distances, but then it's like, oh, it's time to expand the herd. It's like, so which is it? Is it easier to pull people from other places, or is it easier to make all of your thralls interbreed and create new offspring so that you don't have to brainwash them, because they're already born brainwashed? Basically, they're born into it. So which is it? Are you only pulling, I mean, maybe they're only pulling in new people to dilute the genetic pool and everything, but again, it still just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, and then we had to learn what a thrall was. They're not humans or whatever their race is. Everybody is a thrall.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of them trying to take away individual identity and have everyone conform to this situation that they're thrust into. But yeah, it's a weird episode. It's awkward. It has no identity.
I mean, I could see it being a good one if it had a better focus.
Right.
And not this whole little matchup between Kirk and Shayna. Like, we could do without that, and I think it would be better.
Yeah. Well, let's focus ourselves and let's just dive into it. Jackie, why don't you walk us through the episode?
It was like the fastest intro ever.
Yeah, it's very quick and it's a huge misdirection. Okay, cool. I give the show credit for that.
Yeah, because we are going to Gamma 2 and it is not inhabited. We are just checking on the facility that happens to be there.
Right. I read online people pointing out that it's not only uninhabited, it's unable to be inhabited. Like there's no atmosphere. It's
why do we have a facility? Oh, because we're just like checking off we own this planet.
Well, it's a communication and navigation station, so it's not so much that the planet has to be inhabitable. They've just got automated stations on the surface, and they're going down to check on them.
Then that makes sense that the navigator and communications officer are going. I had no idea why these people were all going.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
But people were pointing out if the planet can't support life and they get on the transporter pad and
with no gear
whatsoever. I mean, not even repair tools of any kind, and certainly no protective gear or space gear.
They must be able to hold their breath.
Well, they must be beaming down into a facility that is maintaining life support. And that just depending on how often people stop there, if they're only stopping there to check on the facilities and the rest of the purpose of this station is to just send data out, right? It seems like a lot of wasted energy to maintain life support in facilities so people can beam down rather than forcing people to beam down in protective equipment and turn on a life support system. So,
Which that would make a lot more sense.
but it doesn't matter either way because we never see these facilities at the surface of Gamma 2.
Nothing, because they step onto the transporter pad and they're all ready, and Scotty is like just about to push the button, and then boing, they disappear.
Yep.
Those sound effects are hilarious.
Yeah, they disappear between two frames, so it is literally a blink and they're gone moment.
Yes, and Scotty's like, oh my gosh. And he like checks all of his equipment because he doesn't want to, tell Spock, who's in charge, that he didn't double check his equipment, because Spock, he's going to be like, did you check? And so Scotty does check, and of course Spock still tells him. But I found it odd that even Spock didn't have a sense of urgency about this situation.
Urgency would be an emotion.
But like, he didn't, like, even if he didn't have emotion, wouldn't you want to check on where your captain and friends went?
Yeah, and this is going to be a subplot that is echoed throughout whenever we need a break from the main plot point. We're going to cut back to the Enterprise, and we're going to skip over a lot of those scenes because all it is everyone arguing with Spock.
Right, like, we shouldn't be out here, and we're only following ions.
Yeah. But everyone, I think by Spock not having this urgent reaction in the beginning where, I mean, A, he's a Vulcan, B, we're still only in the teaser to the episode, and so they're not going to reveal too much. But I think also partially it's to set up this idea that everyone is going to go against and push back against Spock because they don't like his course of action.
I could see that. Okay, and then finally, the rest of the teaser, they land on this like triangular pad, and humanoids of different races are walking towards them with weapons.
Yeah, catch poles and so forth. Also important to point out, of course, that they try, I only bring it up because of the ending, they try to reach out to the Enterprise using their communicators. The communicators either don't work, or more likely they're out of range of the Enterprise. And then there's also this idea of when they're being approached by these other life forms, they pull out their phasers and the phasers don't work, right?
Right. Only on stun.
Also of note, when they don't work, I think Kirk throws a phaser at one of them because that is like a weird minor plot point in a little bit. But yeah, they get approached by these four life forms, and I nicknamed them Elvis, Caveman, Female Oompa Loompa, and the Simpsons Reject.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have all their names, so I'll help.
Elvis.
Oh, I have to go down my list, but that's Lars.
Okay, and then there's Caveman.
Klug.
Then there's Female Oompa Loompa.
Tamoon.
No, that's other one.
Oh, Shayna.
Shayna. Female Oompa Loompa because she's got the orange skin and the green hair.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And then the failed Simpsons Reject character is Tamoon.
Tamoon, because she's yellow.
Because she's yellow.
Okay, I see what you did.
Yeah.
I did notice that I did note that Shayna had like pinkish skin. Like the colors are different. He says like it's blue and yellow. No, green and yellow on the pad, and it's like a teal.
It's blue and yellow, yeah.
It reminded me of that dress like 2 years ago when you looked at it on Facebook and it was either white and gold or like black and blue or whatever.
Yes, and we're not going to reignite that debate.
No. I was just saying the colors did not match what he was saying.
Right.
But anyways, music.
Anyway, back on track. We get the fight scene music, and everyone starts fighting the away team. We get the comical background shots of Chekhov, like throwing punches at the caveman and not doing anything.
This poor little dude has to fight this giant man.
Right, because Kirk pairs off with Elvis, and then Uhura is just left to fight the two women.
Good thing she's spirited.
Yes.
And so everything is also triangles. Like, just so y'all know, Triskelion. So
I think we're mispronouncing that. I think it's Triskelion. I think there's the emphasis on the on at the end, but who cares? It's our tradition to mispronounce
anything.
Yeah.
So next, while they're fighting, this figure appears, and his name is Galt, and he's like a vampire wannabe.
Yeah.
He has, his face looks like he went to the beach and has sea salt all over it.
Yeah, it looks like, and I noticed that too, and I was really, because there's not much else to focus on in the episode, so I was kind of letting my mind wander. It looks like someone put non-waterproof white grease paint all over his face and then sprayed him with a spray bottle because it's so blotchy all over. Or they used like a very porous sponge to just kind of model over it. And I don't know if that was intentional or not. I want to think that the explanation I eventually thought of was thinking back to, this is 1968 at this point, January 1968, and thinking of the televisions and the technology at the time. It's obviously not 1080 or 4K like we watch it in now. So we're watching it on these tiny televisions, and so we don't get the full detail. And so they're doing things that cater to the technology at the time. So they must have done this because they wanted to give him a pale appearance, but they didn't want to make him look like Svengoolie or someone who's just completely whitewashed grease paint like a clown. You know what I mean?
I can see that.
That's the only explanation I can think of. I can't imagine that they fully applied the makeup and then it ended up running and no one just corrected it scene by scene, day by day.
Right, because Tamoon and Shayna have beautifully colored skin.
Right.
All that's showing.
Right.
So I think it was intentional. And who knows what he's wearing underneath, but he has a giant collar, like a hood, but just standing up, or like construction paper when we were little.
Very much.
And it's super glittery.
Yeah, he very much looks, he looks like a stereotypical vampire with the cape and the giant collar and so forth.
And his eyes turn white when he's giving them their punishment. Like to attack their collars.
They blast that special effect over his eyes, but if you look closely, his eyes are closed. The actor's eyes are closed whenever they do that effect.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Well, I think it just because all they're doing is overlaying it, so.
It'd be kind of weird if you saw his eyes open, yeah. The thing is.
But in any case.
Well, anyways, he
back on track.
And he is talking about he is the master thrall of the planet, and so he's in charge, and he already knows who everyone is. So they were on this pad outside, and now we are inside this cave like area, and their hands are like handcuffed up against the wall where Galt is telling them, basically, you're going to live here for the rest of your life. Congratulations. And we are basically while we are on this land, there are providers who give us everything. So whatever they want, we do. And you'll learn this. So these are your teachers, your mentors.
Right. And in case we didn't mention it, they're all wearing collars at this point. All of the regulars who have been on the planet for a while have collars with colored triangles, gems on them, one on either side. Galt has the same, but his jewelry is all the colors, all three colors.
The colors designate which provider owns them.
Correct. And the away team just have white because they will eventually be bid on and chosen by one of the providers.
Which is so weird.
Yes, the whole episode. Weird. whole concept of the providers are weird. We'll get to them when we get to them. Also, I found it weird that they were able to either subdue or overpower the away team to get them shackled to the wall, because that's the only thing that the only purpose is to get the collars put on them.
Yeah.
So you can overpower them and get them shackled to the wall, but you can't overpower them just to put the collars on them. It's weird. The fact that we have to do this in a separate scene with them shackled to the wall is weird to me.
Yes, because then they were magically unshackled and put in a cage. They looked like a horse stable.
Pretty much. So, meanwhile, jumping back to the Enterprise, Scotty has looked over the transporter from end to end. There is no malfunction. We've scanned the planet. There's zero life. This is Gamma 2, the planet, not Triskelion.
Yes.
And of course, McCoy and Spock have this continued back and forth where McCoy doesn't like Spock's lack of emotion and urgency to the response because Spock is approaching it logically. Anyway, we needed a break from the planet to give the away team and everyone time to transition from the wall shackle room to the cells.
There was a little funny thing because McCoy goes, "Oh, you said hope," because Spock was like, "Hopefully we'll find them." And isn't hope a human emotion? And then, of course, Spock is like, "Well, I'm around you humans all the time. I can be contaminated," or something like that. It's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah. It's those are fun moments when Spock makes those little comments about being around humans. It's, I think, probably the best part of the series Enterprise between Captain Archer and his Vulcan science officer T'Pol, and how T'Pol interacts and is around the human crew of the Enterprise. So I like those moments when Spock has those little melding moments with his crew and he makes those comments.
There's a series called Enterprise?
There is, and it predates on the timeline the original series.
Oh, jeez.
So it is the very first Enterprise. They are warp 5 capable, because I think this is closer to 7. 8 is the maximum for the original series. Yeah, it predates the Federation. It predates a lot of stuff.
Oh, that's really cool.
And I like it because it does so. It's very good about keeping in mind the mythology, and it doesn't break the lore, the timeline, the canon of Star Trek, even though it takes place earlier. It's the first time that they do a series earlier instead of going forward with the timeline.
Oh.
It's fun. I'm currently rewatching it in my spare time because I don't get enough Star Trek preparing for the podcast.
That might be fun to watch too, to just learn the... I'll look it up. So we're back on the planet, and Kirk, of course, is like, "We're not going to go in our stables." And he punches the big dude, and they all try to escape. And this is when we learn about Galt and his eyes, and they begin to gag them, the colors of obedience.
Yes, like it inflicts pain. I think, everywhere I've read it says that it chokes them psychically, like Darth Vader.
Oh, well, that makes sense too. And then we pop back to the Enterprise, and Spock can't find any signs of life in the Gamma 2 solar system, so he's going to continue going on whatever he thinks.
Right. And again, they're pointing out again, everyone starts to turn on Spock. Everyone is insistent that they're down on Gamma 2, the planet that they were orbiting when they disappeared. And Spock continues to push this idea of all the evidence says they're not, so we have to consider other possibilities. Again, does not really add to the plot of the episode.
And Spock goes to McCoy, "If you have any suggestions, even emotionally, I'll let you know. I'm waiting for your suggestion." And then, of course, "The one time you ask for my help, it's during this situation."
Right.
And then do. That little... I love the music. Sorry.
Yeah. The musical cue to make it kind of goofy from the oboe. Yeah, it's a fun musical cue. It's out of place in the episode because, again, it's the first time that they use it in the episode. I'm pretty sure it's the only time they use it in the episode. So it just confuses and muddles what the overall theme is supposed to be for the episode.
And then we pop back to the planet, and Chekhov is hoping that the Enterprise is looking for them. And, he's just hoping. And then we see Elvis, as you call him, Lars, walk into Uhura's stall, introducing himself, that he will be her drill thrall. And then, of course, we hear scuffling because he's holding a platter, like like a cafe platter, from the cafeteria, and what probably is like water, and we hear all that toss around, and oh no, what are you doing to Uhura? And then this is when what I was saying earlier, when Kirk is like reaching through his bars, what are you doing to her?
Right.
And
Well,
it's like, okay.
yeah. And so specifically, Lars shows up, goes into Uhura's cell with the food, and says that he's the drill thrall. So the thrall assigned to train her to become a thrall. But he also says that he's been selected for her, or she for him. I forget how he words it. But basically, I've been given permission to mate with you for the purpose of producing babies, more stock, more thralls, and so forth. No one else is selected as mates for anyone else.
Okay, I see how you would have. Yep, that makes sense, especially with the shadow sounds and everything. It seems like there's something happening.
Oh yeah, no,
that
he's
shouldn't
fully
be happening.
he's fully trying to force himself onto her.
Yes.
So I just find it interesting that in this short time period, Lars and Uhura have been matched up as not only trainer and trainee, but mates.
I think Tamoon believes that she's chosen for.
Tamoon is hoping that her and Chekhov will be assigned. She sees it as, she definitely recognizes that, yeah, it's totally a possibility that a drill thrall and their trainee can be selected, because she sees the obvious. There might be a relationship that builds up, mentor and mentorship, and a connection and so forth to make it easier. But Tamoon very much, we've jumped to the next scene.
Sorry.
Has very much said that, hopefully we will be selected.
Yes.
And then when Kirk and
Shayna
are having their conversation in their cell about the birds and the bees in life, because that's where Kirk is hearing the explanation of what it means to be selected and so forth. She doesn't say that they've been selected. She just says that, yeah, if it happens, we will eventually, blah, blah, blah. So it's just Elvis and Uhura.
Right.
I will also point out in the scene before we jump to the commercial break between Act 1 and 2, that moment where Kirk is reaching through the bars and saying, "What are you doing?" He calls out Uhura's name and butchers the pronunciation of it.
Yeah, he's like me.
And so to all you haters out there, even Shatner gets the pronunciation wrong. We are proud to do it. Also wanted to point out the weird little plot point. All of their cells have their names on it.
I just noticed that.
And so it's been mentioned, we skipped over it, but jumping back to when they're talking to Galt and why are we here and what is going on, Galt does make a weird kind of comment about, or several observations of, we expected you to be difficult, you were expected, the providers chose you, and so forth. It's an interesting concept that the providers would have forbearance knowledge about the three of them and select them and have the intelligence to recognize, because I don't think they influenced the Enterprise going to Gamma 2 and didn't influence the choice of the away team that was beaming down. So they kind of knew all about them and had all this intelligence about them. And it's a plot point we never fully explore.
It's like they took advantage of the three of them going together.
Right. But we don't know why. We never get an explanation as to why those three, why they chose them, what made them pluck them out and decide to keep them. Because the clue that it's on the cell doors means that it was prepared ahead of time. Unless you want to believe that they were chained up in the wall room waiting for their callers, and they took the time then to put their names on the cell. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not like a tile like what doctors would hang. It's on the wood or steel.
Right. So we've glanced over the meeting between Kirk and Shauna, but there's really nothing to talk about in that. It's just basic.
Just the way she looks, and she calls food nourishment.
Yeah, and she's very much brainwashed, and she has no desire to really escape. She's very much locked into this cycle that they have. Kirk is trying to break through to her and appeal to her beauty and so forth, and it doesn't really work in the moment because she doesn't really have that concept. I'm glancing over it because I think it's more fun to talk about Chekhov.
2 hours have passed.
2 hours have passed, and it's Chekhov and Tamoon.
I love her.
She is, I think, the most underrated character in the episode.
Yep.
I wanted to learn more about Tamoon. I don't like what they decided to do with her voice, but I get it. It's a weird contrast when you compare her to Shauna. So
I think that's why they make her accessories more feminine. Her nails are painted. She has pink hair. Her attire is pink. Her eyebrows need to be waxed, but she has beautiful cotton candy hair. I love it.
yeah, but then they go and they ruin the whole feminine side with her overly robotic voice.
Lower voice.
It is kind of a if you want to cut through all of the editing that they had to do for it, yeah, it just kind of it sticks out like a sore thumb. Everything else I think fits, even the bushy eyebrows that Jaci doesn't want to point to, even the shorter hair, even the fact that she's bright yellow and she's wearing what looks like a romper swimsuit compared to Shauna's more
like Wonder Woman outfit.
Wonder Woman silver bikini and so forth. Everything about the character fits, and then you hear her talk and you go, huh, okay. And we don't develop the character any further. I think we could have left everything the way it was and kept the voice if we had just given her a little bit more screen time and a little bit more of a chance to develop.
Yeah, so. Even Chekhov doesn't know. Like, he's like, Miss?
Yeah, and I think that would have been fun. But it's also 1968, so there's a lot of themes that we don't explore.
Oh, that's true.
In 68. But, and like we talked about earlier, they very much are painting her, I think, in a different perspective than Shauna, because she not only has drank the Kool-Aid, the Thrall Kool-Aid, and is resigned to her lot on this planet, but Shauna has no desire to do anything except obey orders. What I like about Tamoon and why I find her so fascinating is because she has desires. She wants to please the providers. She wants to earn the reward of being selected and potentially, how you read into it, to have Chekhov be her selected mate and so forth. Shauna has none of those desires in that first interaction with Kirk. She is just very much, I'm assigned to you, here's your food, I'm going to train you because that's what I'm programmed to do as a person.
And Shauna also has the more womanly body, and Tamoon, she is not like obese or anything, but she's lacking those curves that Shauna has.
Which is why she's not paired up with Kirk.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tamoon.
Poor Tamoon, we love you.
Tamoon, severely underrated as a character. And also, I'll point out, does not appear anywhere else. Her race is never explained. We don't get a comic book exploring Tamoon. This is it. Sad.
She's just like a background character. And she sits on the bench.
Yeah. So I wish Tamoon had more screen time. # justice for Tamoon.
I could be her for Halloween. I like cotton candy hair.
There you go.
Whoop, whoop.
So then we pop back to the Enterprise. We get another contentious scene where they've discovered this ionization trail. It's leading to another solar system that's 12 light years away. Spock is convinced that they might be in that direction. Everyone else is convinced that Spock is crazy because there's no way that they would be transported across that vast of a distance. But in any case, Spock says he's in command of the ship and they're going to that system.
And then back on the planet, our thralls are in the arena learning how to fight because they have their practice harnesses on. And Gull appears with another thrall that is supposed to be learning, and he did not follow his instructions fast enough, so his punishment is going to be the practice target for the day.
Right, which doesn't really get explained, but you have to kind of assume that they're just going to be practicing using the weapons and so forth on him, and he's not going to be able to defend himself. That's the overall concept that I gathered from the scene.
And Uhura is supposed to do this, and she refuses. Then Kirk, of course, pops up and he's like, none of them will do it. I am responsible for my crew. And then this is when their collars tighten because they're undergoing correction for also not following the directions.
Right. Clarification. They tell Uhura that she has to use him as the practice target. She refuses, and then Galt says he's going to have Uhura be the practice target. And then Kirk says, no, they're my people. I'm responsible for them. That's how Kirk ends up being the practice target.
So Kirk has his arms bound behind him, and Klug, our giant caveman, I feel sorry for this actor. It's like the ugliest makeup ever.
Yeah.
Like, all he needs to do is just drool.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent if you go look at what the makeup was for the inhabitants of the planet for the episode Galileo 7 that we never get to see on scene because it was quote unquote too terrifying and disturbing for television. And then they got this guy on the screen. So,
yeah, it's just, yeah. And so his weapons are a whip and a net that's like a triangle with balls attached at the end, at each corner.
He is Klug, not Kirk.
Right. Klug is given these weapons, and Kirk is weaponless because he has to go through this punishment. And of course, he's whipped, he's hit with the triangle net, so many wounds. But then, oh, thank you, Galt. Thanks for that rest interval. So,
yeah, it's funny because you watch and there's like this whole scene. I mean, they pull in a stunt double. This is also where we jump to Act 3 from the commercials. But, I mean, we have Kirk with a giant rip on the back of his uniform and a whip welt, and he's got all these markings on the front of his shirt and everything. And he's just dancing around to dodge this whip, but it's like they put him through, and by him I mean the stunt double, they make him jump around so much, but every single time that whip connects, it's so ineffective how he's dancing around.
So while he's resting, Shayna has him drink something that will give him strength. We have no idea what he's drinking. And she also says, attack him from the left. His left eye is bad. She's all like, go team, go.
Yeah.
And so that drink must have been gold because Kirk was able to break through his binds and he was able to take Klug to the ground by using that very cordage. And of course, all of a sudden, these voices from above say, hold, stop fighting. And then 3 other voices just start bidding 2,000 quatlus. That must be their currency.
Yeah.
And it's just like Squid Games. I'll put this much money on this person. It's,
Yeah, and it's a bidding war for the 3 Enterprise crew members, Kirk, Uhura, and Chekhov. Let's talk briefly about the fact that they're bidding these quatludes on the auction, and then they later place side bets about whether they'll actually be able to be trained and used effectively as thralls. But at this point, we don't really know what the currency is. We don't know who the providers are. We don't know what society they have. So it's setting up the impression that this is just the currency that they use.
And if they do not follow the rules, they will be punished by death.
Because now that they've been bought and they belong to a provider, they're expected to be in the same category as everyone else. There is no more leeway. They have to follow the rules they're expected to.
And their provider is red, just like Shayna's collar.
Right.
So they're, yay, friends.
A little weird that they would, I don't know, I found it weird that they were just kind of bidding on them as a lot. I would imagine that you would spread the wealth. I don't know, we're talking about the logistics of running an auction here for people, but it's never really explained why their bot is a lot instead of, I don't know, breaking them up, separating them. I would imagine that would make it easier to manage them.
And more fun since there's, 3 against 3.
Right.
And then we have the super fast jump to the Enterprise where, oops, still can't find them, and they carry on, and then back to the planet. And Shayna and Kirk are like doing cross country running. And Kirk asks for a breather, and Shayna looks at him like, what do you mean? And then when he finally says arrest, then she's like, oh, you're tired. Like an insult.
Yeah, and they stop running at this like old ruins of some stone building of some kind. Again, missed opportunity to kind of dive into the providers, and there obviously had to be some sort of society that existed before it became what it became, but they just never talk about it. I mean, Kirk mentions it because he's like, oh, the ruins, what kind of people are the providers? But we never get an answer. I don't expect that it should have come from Shauna directly, but the show should have given us something.
No, I totally agree. And then finally, when she starts giving some kind of quote unquote secrets about what the providers look like, they start like correcting her with her collar. And then, of course, Kirk is screaming to the heavens, it's my fault. It's my fault. Don't, harm her for my doing.
Yeah.
He's always saving the ladies.
Yeah, and it's this, and there's a whole back and forth scene to this about Kirk like playing into her. I don't even know what he's playing into, but he's trying to flirt with her. He's trying to like get information out of her, but it's like, what are you playing into, Kirk? Are you playing into that you perceive that she's attracted to you? Do you recognize that she doesn't understand what romance is and what you're trying to do, and you're taking advantage of that? Like, it's really awkward.
Oh, it totally does. Because, like, when he kisses her, she says, oh, is this helping? And he's all, sure. And she asks for help once more. And they kiss some more.
Yeah, it's very much like, oh, I don't know. It's very much like Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands, because it's like, what's the female protagonist's name in that? She's very much falling in love with Edward, but Edward is literally a creation and doesn't understand what love or sex or romance is, and very much is taking advantage of him. And that's kind of what Kirk's doing in this scene and throughout this episode, is taking advantage of the fact that he knows that she's capable of experiencing these emotions, but she doesn't know what they are. So, irregardless, their little makeout session is interrupted by Galt.
Yeah, and he's like, you amuse the providers, so no punishment. Now get back to your stall.
Pretty much like, okay, the providers enjoy this little break in what they normally experience, but they have no interest in deviating from their regular operations.
Then we pop over to the Enterprise, and Spock wants to go up to Warp 6. And he is explaining his plan that the transporter didn't have a dysfunction, but there was a disruption with a focus light from the trinary system. And that's where he's headed. Triangle. But McCoy still wants to go back to Gamma 2.
Right. And none of this scene makes sense, because ultimately they're placated by Spock, because Spock is like, look, either do what I tell you, I'm in charge, unless y'all feel like doing a mutiny.
Yeah, he does it like quietly.
Well, because he doesn't want to alarm anyone else, and he doesn't want to. That's a serious thing on a starship.
Yes.
And that's how they back down. They're like, oh no, we don't want to do mutiny or anything. Well, let's just compromise. How about we go check out your plan, and if it doesn't work, we go back to Gamma 2. And Spock's like, duh. If we can't find him here, we're gonna go back to where we lost him. And then it doesn't make sense, because like, can we get warp, because it's warp 7 they're trying to get Scotty to do, and he's like, can we do warp 7? And Scotty's like, I think I can pull that off. I'm like, why are you not pulling it off to begin with?
Yeah, they go from like harsh, go where you want, to sure, anything you want, sir, we'll do it, no problem.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we pop back down to the planet because we're still in the middle of Act 4. Act 4 drags out and has pacing issues, much like Galt's cadence and his speaking patterns.
And they're in the quarter area where the stalls are, and he kisses her again, Kirk and Shayna, and then he punches her and knocks her out.
Yep. because that's how you solve problems.
And then, oh, so sorry. And he takes her little key card, I guess, and runs over to Chekhov and Ahura to let them out because they've also done something to knock their thrall out.
Yeah, I don't know what Ahura did to Lars. I don't remember. Maybe Lars wasn't there, but Chekhov is tied up to Moon
Yes.
and does make the funny comment of, this is going to interfere with our romance. And I'm like, and she's just sitting there. She looks so defeated. I'm like, oh, I think she really was hoping that her and Chekhov would be selected.
Yeah, and she even wants to learn how to say his name right. It's so adorable.
Yeah.
So they all run out of their quarters, but end up at the pad again.
Right, because their whole plan hinges on Kirk saying, I threw my phaser at Caveman way back when we first were attacked by them, and it ended up getting tossed away somewhere, and so I expect to go find the phaser, and we'll use that phaser to escape. It's like, the phaser didn't work. It's ridiculous to think that they wouldn't retrieve the phaser from wherever you tossed it. So what are you really planning on doing, Kirk? But Galt finds them, and then he uses the collars to subdue them, which is also incredibly weird because they've been told multiple times, if you disobey again, we'll just kill you. But they don't. It makes no sense.
So the Enterprise has arrived into the trinary area.
Yep, and let's really jump the shark now because the providers jump on and take control of the Enterprise before Spock and McCoy can beam down. Or is it Spock and Scotty? I don't remember which.
No, Spock wants to go down, and then McCoy's like, well, if you're going to go in the lion's den, you need a medical officer.
Yeah.
And then we have a biblical reference.
Yeah, but then it doesn't matter because the providers take control of the Enterprise, and we now get magical three-way calling because the providers are talking to Spock and the bridge crew, but Kirk and everyone down on the planet can hear them, and then Kirk is able to just shout up at the sky and can be heard by the Enterprise. I'm like, why would this be a thing? Why would the providers allow the communication between the away team and the Enterprise? It makes zero sense.
Well, I didn't think that Kirk knew he was yelling to the Enterprise. I think he was just yelling in general, hoping to make it.
Well, I guess you try anything in that moment, but yeah, but still, it very clearly is revealed and understood by everyone that everyone can hear everyone in this moment.
And then Kirk gets, cocky again. And he's like, providers, if you're so great, why don't you show yourselves? And then magically, boing, he's in this cave in front of a dome that has 3 ugly brains in it.
Right.
They're all different colors.
They are. What colors are they, Jackie? Provider 1 is...
I don't know what number they are, but there's a yellow one, a red one, and a purplish one.
Green. So the red is green. Provider 1 because that's who bought everyone. Provider 2 is yellow, and then Provider 3 is green, which makes no sense because their collars are blue, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, the blue-green is I can't tell the color.
Yeah. So, but yeah, in any case, so now we see that the providers are brains. And this is society. There are no other providers.
They developed themselves enough to where they didn't need a body.
Right, but they've limited themselves to just be these brains, and I have to imagine that the rest of their society died off, right?
Yes.
And so they're now only existing, and they do these gladiator games because that's all that they have left. And so it brings me back to my quatludes betting. Why are we the only thing that this currency now serves is a tally to who is currently ahead in the games, quote unquote. And that's it. There is no other value to the currency, which is annoying to me. It just, it bugs me that that's what they're going for. And I'm like, no. There should be other reasons. There should be other motivation. But no, that's it.
And so they tell Kirk that you're going to be here forever, and the Enterprise is going to be destroyed in a magnetic storm.
But we're going to enslave the rest of the Enterprise crew too to be thralls.
Yes. So, yay. But then Kirk offers them a bet that will free all of his people, including all the other enslaved thralls, that he'll win. And if he does fail, his people will be enslaved.
Right. But specifically, if Kirk wins, the outcome for the thralls are the providers will actively free them and
Educate them.
coach them, organize them, and lead them to become a self-sustaining civilization and government.
Yes.
And okay. And so they bicker back and forth about this, and Kirk says, I want the 308 team people to participate against 3 of your choosing. They push back and say, no, it'll be you against 3 of our choosing. And they're like, at the end, it all goes back and forth, and they say, you don't really have a choice because you obviously will not conform. We cannot train you. And all you're going to do is continue to disrupt what we have here. So either accept the bet and have a chance, or we kill you and we kill your crew and we kill the Enterprise and so forth.
So for the fight, we're back on that pad. So Kirk has to stay on all of the yellow parts, which are like the inner areas. And then each individual thrall is on like each corner.
Right. Which none of that matters.
Because they all cross it anyway.
They all, like within 2 steps, Kirk steps, because they say if you step onto, the only way that you can get out of this is die. That's how it ends. You cannot defeat anyone else unless they die. And if you step off your color and you step onto your opponent's color, you die. And 2 steps after they start the fight, Kirk is clearly standing and stepping on the blue. So doesn't matter. Very poorly choreographed. Like they made no effort to keep that in mind. But we have Kirk facing off against Caveman, Elvis, and now we have an Andorian.
Yeah, he just like popped in there.
Yeah, from nowhere, but okay. And they go back and forth. Kirk is able to stab Elvis to death. He ends up tangling with the Caveman. The Andorian, I think I got it backwards. I think Kirk ends up stabbing the Caveman. He has the Andorian throw a spear, ducks, and it kills Elvis. Whatever, it doesn't matter. In the end, he ends up fighting the Andorian. Again, very poorly choreographed because it's several times you can see where they didn't bother to paint the actor in the blue paint. But he ends up defeating the Andorian. And then further to prove that the rules don't matter, Shayna gets told to go in and fight Kirk.
Right, because everyone else is gone, and if he has to fight her, he won't harm her.
Yeah, so we're already, and I'll propose this. The providers don't seem like people that would necessarily break the rules. I think they seem to be people that would follow the rules under all circumstances because otherwise their games become meaningless. They have the power to do whatever they want. They have the power to intervene in the arena games, and that's not what they're interested in. I think it shows an act of desperation to break the rules and to throw another combatant in there against Kirk. But they do.
So he holds the knife against her throat, ready to slice it open, and she yells that they surrender.
Right. And again, breaking the rules, allowing the contest to end without one of the 2 of them dying. And then finally, the providers follow the rules, say that they're free, tell everyone to rip off their collars. I'm assuming Galt gets freed too at this point. I think we never see him rip the collar. We never see his arms, I'll be honest with you.
They're in the cape.
Yeah, but everyone gets freed. And we get one more little romantic moment between Kirk and Shauna because Kirk's like, I gotta go. Maybe we'll see each other again. You can't follow me. I can't take you with you. Blah, blah, blah. And the away team beams up.
And then that's it. But it ends with Shayna, speaking to the stars that she'll learn and she'll see him soon.
Yeah, the exact quote is, goodbye, Jim Kirk. I will learn and watch the lights in the sky and remember. And then a hard cut, because it's like an overhead shot. It's her, it's Tamoon, and it's Galt all gathered together on that fight arena pad, landing pad, as we've referred to it a couple times.
Yeah.
And they're looking down on them. And that's it. It's a hard cut to the Enterprise departing and roll credits. So, Jaci, what are going to be your final thoughts to Season 2, Episode 16, The Gamesters of Triskelion?
I could have done without this episode.
Yeah?
I mean, it was interesting, but I feel that once they added the romance, it died for me.
Yeah, again, there's no identity to the episode, I don't think. Is it supposed to be a episode about a romance between Kirk and Shauna? Is it supposed to be a mystery of where the away team was beamed to? Is it supposed to be super out there science fiction mystery with floating brains? Is it supposed to be arena and it's supposed to be just a lot of choreographed fights and so forth? We don't really know, because it is trying to be all of those things and it accomplishes none of it, I think.
And even the costuming, his quote unquote training harness is black, and then Chekhov and Uhura have silver ones that look like they're part of their uniforms.
No, Chekhov has a black one too.
Oh, I was watching too fast. It's just like, oh, I see it now. You're right. He's just so little.
Yeah, he is very little, but I mean, yeah, Uhura's is silver. I mean, okay.
I don't know. There's so much difference, even just by that scene that you have brought up. We have Shayna in her aluminum foil bikini. She has giant green hair. Kirk and Chekhov, and then our girl Tamoon, who, she even has pink shoes on.
Right.
Yeah, it would be great to know more about her.
Yeah, I think we both acknowledge. I mean, I think we both agree that it would, Tamoon, if you want to take and strip away all this episode and you get to choose one element or one character from this episode that you would develop further, I think we both go Tamoon.
Exactly.
We would both like to see a Tamoon episode, but we never do. So, yeah, it's just kind of a meh. I think we won't be surprised at our ratings here. But before we finish up our final thoughts and give our favorite quotes, let's just remind everyone again, don't forget to pop over to our Patreon when you're done listening to this episode, patreon.com/Treks and Tangents, where we'll post our Star Note bonus episode, where we'll do a deeper dive into one or two topics from the episode. Definitely, I think we'll talk more about our girl Tamoon and maybe come up with some fan fiction for her. But the main topic question is going to be, did Kirk cross an ethical line by using Shauna's feelings for him? We kind of touched on it a little bit, but I think we'll dive a little bit deeper and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the moral dilemmas. I've got some backup questions as well. So yeah, join us over at our Patreon, patreon.com/Treks and Tangents. These bonus Star Note episodes free for everyone who follows the Patreon. Jaci, round out your final thoughts. Give us your favorite quote.
Hope? I always thought that was a human failing, Mr. Spock. True, Doctor. Constant exposure does result in a certain degree of contamination. This is, of course, when McCoy and Spock are talking about their search for Kirk, Uhura, and Chekhov. Like, I'm just hoping to find them. And, McCoy keeps rapping them.
Yeah, that's a good moment. I like it. My quote's going to be toward the end. It's not a very quotable episode for me, but
true.
Kirk's quote to Sean at the very end, all your people must learn before you can reach for the stars. I kind of like that, but I like the idea behind that. I like the idea that Kirk, these people have obviously had terrible lives. They've been kidnapped or bred into this terrible situation by the providers. And so I like the idea that Kirk is saying we're not just going to solve all of your problems by taking you with us and taking you into this development path that you're not ready for and so forth. So I like that idea. They've come, they've rescued them, they've saved them, they've obviously interjected and changed the trajectory of their lives. I question it because we don't know where Shauna's people are. We don't know where Tamoon's people are. We don't know where Galt's people are. For all we know, they're all spacefaring people. So it also leads to the question of how come they didn't try to find out where they were from and repatriate them into and get them home, because they all came from somewhere.
Well, I love that idea, but I think it's kind of like when you have an animal and it's ready to go back to population, it doesn't really go well in its original species. So he has to be by himself in like a human created facility.
Yeah, and that's a good explanation, where even if they did know where all of their people were, yeah, maybe it is best that we just take all of these enslaved arena gladiators
And they all learn together.
and we make a society out of it where they can learn, and in the future, who knows? But yeah, I like it. So it led to this idea, and I kind of like it. I'll burn a Star Note topic we were going to talk about, and I'll keep it in the original podcast. We don't see Tamoon again, but there is a side story that the providers do keep their word. They do create and guide them toward a society, and the society that ends up being evolved and created on Triskelion ends up, I don't think it joins the Federation, but it ends up having diplomatic contact and communication with the Federation, and their ambassador is Shauna.
Oh, that's great.
And there is a reuniting of Shauna and Kirk briefly. So anyway,
I mean, Kirk does yell at the providers, you're gonna keep your word, you know.
exactly. So let's transition from our final thoughts over to our triple tidbits or interesting facts to the
Yay.
episode. And as we learned last week, why do we call them triple tidbits, Jackie?
Because they're amazing.
Because they're fun, they're interesting, they're cute, they're cuddly, but they can also be
trill.
They can also be problematic, they can be horrifying, they can just be interesting. So the episode first aired, of course, January 5th, 1968. Angelique Pettyjohn, who is the name of the actress who played Shauna, when she went in for tryouts, she expressed to the producers that she was concerned because the script that she was reading from and the character description described Shauna as an Amazon, and she was only 5'6". And the producers all laughed and said to her, she quotes, "Next to Shatner, you'll look like an Amazon." So,
but I mean, you do see her stand like a proud, like a Amazon woman would, that we see in the comics and whatever, like feet apart, hands at the waist. Like,
yeah,
she stands, boom, come at me, bro.
Yeah. Very much also like the actress who played Jackie's favorite character so far, Lieutenant Rand. The actress who played Shauna, Angelique, movie career never took off. Unfortunately, went sideways in life and got addicted and had substance abuse problems. And I bring that up because she eventually, when the motion pictures came out and everything, and we started getting conventions for Star Trek, she recognized and realized that there is kind of this side career and future for people who've been on Star Trek and can tour the convention circuits and so forth, and was welcome and embraced by the fandom back in, and so did tours of conventions and so forth before she ended up passing away in 1992. So,
well, you know, there's a lot of cosplay of Shana.
Absolutely. She actually was, I don't know if she was the first, but one of the, I would say, successful actors or actresses from Star Trek in this time period that produced her own character posters of her character and use that as a means to make money and to sell and so forth. So I think that's awesome.
She's lady bossing it.
Yeah, and I like that idea when actors or actresses, obviously they don't own the show, they don't own the IP to their character, but I think if they're going to portray that character can't exist without that actor or actress. And I think it should be an avenue for them to have some sort of revenue line where they can produce pictures, headshots, and things for fans to purchase and interact with that benefit the actor or the actress. I support that 100%.
Truly.
During the filming of this episode is when word broke that NBC was canceling Star Trek the original series at the end of season 2. This led to a general sense of depression, and I think you will see that in some of the later episodes where everyone thought the show was canceled. I mean, NBC had ordered all the episodes for the second season, and they weren't canceling the order for those episodes, but NBC had said, we're not going to order episodes for season 3. This, of course, this is the same cancellation that led to the giant letter writing campaign by fans, and is what convinced NBC to renew the episode for season 3. But there was a significant time period where the show was effectively canceled and was going to come to an end at the end of the season. So,
that does sound really sad.
Triskelion is, of course, the Greek name for the symbol that we see throughout the episode. So it is real. It is a Greek symbol. So it is a thing. The dome that's encasing the provider's brains at the end, did you recognize it?
It did look familiar.
It is the dome from the spaceship, from Lazarus's spaceship from the episode The Alternative Factor. I think it's funny because when I watched that episode, there's that giant red starburst that's on the top of that dome. And then they kept it for this episode. And I'm like, it serves no purpose other than we now can effectively identify it between the two. So, I mean, it's not uncommon to reuse things and everything, as Jaci, I think, mentioned. They're reusing the knives from Mirror Mirror in the episode.
Yeah, the daggers.
Yeah, I don't know I forget if you mentioned that during the recording or if it was brought up as I
think I just told you, like, look at that.
Yeah. And then my final triple tidbit for the episode. This is the only original series episode that ends with a non-regular character as the focus of the scene. So the fact that they're zooming in on Shauna for her little parting line, and that's the end of the episode, that's the only time in the 3 seasons that they do that. Otherwise, it is always going to end on a main recurring character from the Enterprise.
Well, that makes sense.
But those are going to be your triple tidbits. But now let's rate the episode. I don't think anyone's going to be surprised at our rating. But as a reminder, our episode rankings are where we assign a Starfleet rank to the episode, pretending that the episode is a crew member for our fictitious starship for the season. A higher rank means we not only were more entertained by the episode, but more specifically, we find the episode to be a more valuable member of the crew of our starship. And the opposite's true. A lower rank means we were less entertained by the episode, and we find this episode to be a more disposable member of our crew. Our ranks start at the very bottom, where we can have an unlimited number of ensigns, lieutenant junior grades, or lieutenants. And then we get to our upper commanders and officers. We can have 7 lieutenant commanders, 5 commanders, 1 captain, and 1 admiral. Again, if none of that makes any sense, pop over to the Patreon, patreon.com/Treks and Tangents. We'll post a graphical representation of the rankings as they go. And it's good to check in because we not only rank each episode, but we can promote or demote episodes to make room as we decide. And you can check out all the rankings from last season and follow along. So hopefully we'll see you over there. But Jaci, why don't you tell us for the USS Luminara, what rank are you going to give this episode?
I'm really sorry, but I have to put it in the ensign category.
And why ensign?
Because the overacting, the lack of character development, the focus on only Shayna and, her beauty. And then, of course, I mean, we do look at her face all the time. Like, I'm okay without that.
Yeah. So for my starship, the USS Comet, no surprise, I'm also going to rank this as an ensign.
Woo!
Again, there's no identity or theme to the episode. It tries to do too much. It jumps the shark at the end where, for no reason, everyone can talk to everyone. I don't mind that we have a romantic interest for Kirk on multiple episodes. I don't mind that we have Kirk and an alien kissing and so forth, because it leads to viewers and so forth. But I would have liked to see greater character development. Who's Galt? Where does he come from? Why did he
Yes.
decide to become the head thrall and not a combatant?
How did he become that?
Yeah. And where are all the rest of the what we didn't even mention it. Where did the providers come from? What was the downfall of their civilization? Why couldn't we have a throwaway line where it said we evolved to this point and we thought we were so superior, but now we're pathetic and we just all we have left are these games and these bets that we have. Why did everyone, all the providers, go away? And finally, justice for Timoon.
Exactly.
So
And where did the other thrall come who was supposed to be pretty much killed?
yeah.
Like, where'd he pop from?
So let's just call it what it is. It's a disposable episode. We're going with Ensign.
Are we gonna go hashtag?
Hashtag no, but I think for justice for Timoon, I think when I do the episode thumbnail and I do the thumbnail for the ranking, I think it'll be Timoon.
Yeah.
So, as a reference over on IMDb, as of this recording, Jaci, what do you think this episode ranks?
A 6.
A 6. It ranks an even 7.0. I think people like the cheesy combat. If I had to guess what I know from Star Trek fandom, I think all of the fight scenes, and they are terribly coordinated, and they are nowhere near on the level as we just saw last week with Trouble with Tribbles and the bar fight scene and so forth. It is bad fight scenes, but I think people enjoy that. So,
and they're not watching them in order like we are. We are like studying them, so they could just be like, oh, I want to watch this episode today and, rate it. Like you should rate our podcast with 5 stars. Por favor.
Yes, before we dip out, as a reminder, everyone, please, wherever you're listening, leave a comment. Tell us what you think this episode should rank. How would you rank this episode? What did you like or not like about the episode? And yes, as Jaci says, wherever you're listening, leave a rating, share with someone, and come follow us over at the Patreon. Again, we try to make as much of that free for everyone. So next week, we'll be back, of course, as we always are. But before we go, let's give our turbo lift tease or elevator pitch to the episode. It's where I'll give Jaci the title of next week's episode. And without any other information, Jaci will try to guess the plot of the episode. Jaci, next week's episode is entitled A Piece of the Action.
Well, obviously, everyone is back on the Enterprise, and we are going to the next sector because we have to, go home from our crazy Triskelion area. But on the way home, we see a planet in need that hasn't yet called the distress signal, but we are saviors and we're going to help them. So we're going to pop over and lend a hand or 4.
All right, and tune in next week to see how accurate Jaci's prediction is. If you want more show information, you can find and directly support our podcast on Patreon. Last plug for the episode, patreon.com/TreksandTangents. Again, free for everyone, our bonus Star Note episodes, our graphical representation, but also for those that want to support the Patreon and become crew members, we do a deeper dive into the animated series. We have all of our test episodes published. We're working on other content for it. Bar Trek is coming at some point. Our little side podcast interview random discussion. I'm going to start diving deeper into some of the non-canon works, comics, novels. Maybe I'll talk about Lower Decks because if I don't bring it up now, we'll never get to it. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you over at the Patreon. Everyone can join for free. Again, we try to keep as much content as free for everyone to give everyone a chance to pop in. But you can follow us on x.com, Treks_Tangents. We're on Instagram and Blue Sky at Treks and Tangents, trying to catch everyone where we can. But Jaci, where can people find you and what are you up to?
You can find me mostly on Instagram at Jibboom, JIBBOOM. I have a little of everything on there. Right now, it is primarily my hip replacement because I'm going in for my second one and all the physical therapy I'm doing. And I mean, every day I deal with CRPS, so definitely disability and service animal advocacy. On top of that, I am a musician. I mean, that was my main reason for moving to Sacramento. And I play the tuba, flute, and piccolo. I have reels up, and music season is starting again in just a few weeks. So go find me over there. I can't wait to see you.
And you can watch me stream a variety of video games over at twitch.tv/PiratePoundTown, all when I have time and I'm not editing this podcast or content for the podcast. You can find a lot of that video game content after the stream as well over at YouTube at Pirate Pound Town. I also have a second channel on YouTube, Pirate Treasure Hunting, where I do comic, coin collecting, other hobby content. And finally, you can find me socially on Blue Sky and Instagram. Blue Sky, I'm at Pirate Pound Town. Instagram, it's Pineapple Cannibal. Links to all social media mentioned can be found in the episode description. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this week's episode. We hope you had fun like we did, and we will see you all next week.
Be sure to watch out for those triangles.
End transmission.